Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Running the Bases. I am Michael Garaffa. Today, for right now, I'm by myself, but I should have another analyst on with me very shortly to help break down this major news that happened just very recently, a little over an hour ago. I would have loved to cover it sooner, but unfortunately, I was occupied at the time. I would have really been happy to be here to cover it live. This is big news. Corbin Burnes of the Milwaukee Brewers has been traded to the Baltimore Orioles. The defending American League East champion Baltimore Orioles have added one of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. Corbin Burnes is one of the best to ever do it. He's won a Cy Young, a three-time All-Star. He's also won an ERA title. And right away, I mean, we're not even into a minute into the show. This is the biggest move or the most surprising move of the entire offseason. I mean, to have Corbin Burnes, a pitcher of that quality, we knew that the Brewers might be shopping him a little bit, but to shop him to the Orioles was something that I don't think anybody was able to predict or even expect. I mean, seriously, that was shocking. It was absolutely shocking. And Corbin Burnes is a superstar. He's a superstar of a pitcher. It takes the Orioles to the next level. A team that won the American League East last year is also now going to be in a really good spot. I got to post this on my Twitter really quickly. Stand by as I do that because we have nobody here watching anyway. So I can get this out there so we get more people in. Here we go. There we go. We've got it up live. So hopefully we should be able to get some more people in here to find out this news. I mean, I'm sure most people know by now, which is why it's not really, this show is not as much about telling the story. It's about going into what this means. So the official deal, the Brewers have traded Corbin Burnes to the Baltimore Orioles for DL Hall, Joey Ortiz, and a Comp A draft pick. So that's a really big move. DL Hall is the big name in that return. Joey Ortiz, also great. They're the 6 and 7 prospects in Orioles systems. But DL Hall is the man to really keep your eye on here. He is a left-handed starting pitcher. He has pitched 2 years in the majors. He's really not done too much. But he is really highly valued. This man is valued to be a potential 2-starter and probably even an ace one day. In his minor league times, he has had a couple really great seasons. In 2018, he had a 2.1 ERA in 22 games. So this is a guy who has a history of being a really good pitcher. A lot of people think that this guy is going to be one of the best to be on a mound. And getting a guy like that in return for Corbin Burnes, who is one of the top 5, if not top 3 pitchers in all of baseball, is a very big deal. It really is. It is a very massive contract, or a very massive trade to have taken place. Now, Corbin Burnes, coming off of another really great year. Let me give you some of the stats from 2023 that he had with the Brewers. A 3.39 ERA in 32 games. He pitched 193 innings, which is the second most in his major league career. He had a 1.069 whip, which led the National League. He also had a 6.6 hits per 9, which is right on par with his career averages, a 1 home runs per 9. His walks did go up a little bit at 3.1. They've been steadily increasing the last couple of years, and his strikeouts are down a little bit. So if we were to give him an overall rating on 1 to 99, I'd say after 2022, he was probably coming off of being a 97. I'd say now he's down to like a 91, 92-ish. But still, I mean, this man is a guy who had a sub-3 ERA for 3 consecutive years, 2020, 2021, and 2022. 2021, he had a 2.43 ERA and won the Cy Young that year in 28 starts. 2022, a 2.94 ERA in a major league leading 33 starts. So this is a guy who has really refined his career. When he first got called up in 2018, he made 30 starts. He had a stellar season in 2018. He had a 2.61 ERA. and that was in 30 games. He didn't start 30 games, though. He was coming out of the bullpen the first 2 years of his career, and that was the problem. The Brewers didn't know where to use him. They had no idea what they were going to do with him, and that was really where the problem ended up falling. And in 2019, he had the worst year of his career. He pitched in 32 games and had an 8.82 ERA. This is a man that we consider to be one of the best pitchers in baseball today. He had an 8.82 ERA just 5 years ago. So really, a lot is to be said about that transition from the bullpen to being a starter, because that first year starting in 2020, he made 9 starts and a 2.11 ERA. It's pretty clear what he wanted to be doing and how he wanted to be performing. So quite frankly, it is a huge pickup for the Orioles. Now, yes, in the last couple of years, he has slowly gotten worse and worse. And by worse and worse, I mean, he hasn't been at that number one pitcher in baseball level that he was in 2021. But 2022, he finished that year looking really, really strong and was really in a great spot. And then this year also had a really great year. Now joining me on the show, we have a longtime host on this show here to analyze this deal. Welcome to the show, Nick Nath. Nick, how we doing?
Good. How about you, man? How's it going?
Fantastic. I'm glad to see you today because, I mean, man, I had already been running out of things to say. So you came at the perfect time, and I'm glad to hear other people's perspectives on moves like this. I've really done a lot of the heavy lifting on the stats part. What is your initial reaction on this right away?
Big time. Big time. You know, it's one of those moves that you'd from an AL East perspective, you'd hope like the Rays would have made like 3 or 4 years ago, like one of those teams that just kind of just sit back and like haven't really done much. But the Orioles have a win now roster obviously made before this trade was made, and now after it's potent. I mean, you could argue they have the best pitching staff in that division now, like top like 1 through 5, particularly like depending on the health of Rodon and how the Yankees do. But I feel like the Orioles are just here to say, hey, like don't forget about us type of thing. Like I would honestly, as of right now, after that trade, put them as a favorite to win that division. I mean, obviously the Yankees getting Soto, you could argue.
It's okay. We're used to it by now.
No, but yeah, it's absurd. I mean, good for them. Like new ownership, like we saw, making a huge big move, and Corbin Burns, arguably their ace, opening day starter, is just crazy. I mean, we knew kind of by now that Burns would get traded. We didn't know where, obviously, but the Orioles kind of just came out of nowhere and said, hey, like we're kind of gonna go all in, and this roster, half of their roster is like not even 25 yet, so it's just absurd. Crazy, makes the AL East a lot more competitive. I mean, you could argue every team's going to be competing, particularly like maybe except for the Red Sox. I don't know. I don't even know. So crazy, huge. One of the first like big moves of the offseason, obviously like trade wise, apart from like the Soto and Ohtani stuff. So crazy.
Well,
I don't know much about the prospects they gave up though.
They gave up. I don't really know much about them either. That's the thing. I'm not very big on certain prospects, and especially the Orioles system. Really don't know. But they were 6 and 7, and I've heard good things about DL Hall. He is a name that I've seen a lot, but I know nothing about. So apparently, people think he could be a 2-starter, maybe an ace. They think he's going to be they think he's going to be in the rotation already for the Brewers. So clearly, he's going to jump right in and be impacting the Milwaukee Brewers right away. I said it earlier on in the show that this is the biggest surprise of the offseason. Like you said, we kind of had a feeling that Burns was going to get traded, but, pitchers and catchers are reporting in less than 10 days. I think most of us kind of forgot that anything like this could even happen, or that most people probably just assume Corbin Burns is going to be a Milwaukee Brewer yet again. But what this also does now is hopefully this will get that pitcher market moving. I mean, pitchers and catchers have to be reporting again in less than 10 days. Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery are not on Major League Baseball teams right now. As of right now, Blake Snell is going to be spending 2024 sitting at home, sipping margaritas after winning the Cy Young Award. Like that's
Yeah.
embarrassing for baseball. So I have to imagine that this will hopefully get that moving in some way.
Yeah, this has been such an underwhelming baseball offseason, man. Like, obviously, it was very top heavy with Ohtani and Soto like going to their respective teams, and then other than that, like the dominoes just haven't really been falling. Like we have a lot of like unsigned pieces, like you said, like the perennial Cy Young Award winner from last year still doesn't have a home yet. Like And I assume like he's had a bunch of offers. They're still trying to like weigh those options and all that. But it's just crazy. Like you said, like spring training literally starts like pitchers and catchers report in less than 10 days. Like games start like the end of this month, and then opening day is what, like the last day of like March. Like it's coming
Pretty,
right
I
around
think
the
it's
corner.
pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, like around that time. So we're less than 60 days out now, which is just
Yes.
crazy. So very exciting stuff, honestly. Hopefully we'll have like a lot more content for you guys and that type of stuff. So, but we need these players to find a homes first, cause
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, we've been hoping to be doing these breaking news shows all off season. I mean, I've
yeah,
been preparing to do them, and every single breaking news show I've done, I've said hopefully this will get the ball rolling, and we'll finally start seeing moves, but nothing's happened. I mean, it's just there are still guys that I still want to do shows on. Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger, JD Martinez. Like those are big names that haven't gone anywhere. I mean, we did Josh Hader to the Orioles, right? Josh Hader went to the Orioles. So didn't Josh Hader go to the Orioles?
I,
Hold on.
I,
My brain is no Astros. Sorry, I
yeah,
predicted him to go to the Orioles. That's why. My bad. Take it back. That would have been wild though. Could you imagine?
yeah. I would have been like, wait, they're
Yeah,
going
no, that
all
would have been
along.
crazy. It's because my brain had him predicted to go there. So, but
Yeah,
we talked about that having him go to the Astros. But sometimes it's just there just hasn't been anything. And in an off season like this, that has been probably the worst off season of my lifetime. I mean,
yeah.
easily.
Has
It's
to.
just it's nice to have something like this where you have a guy that you didn't expect to do a breaking news show on that you're doing a breaking news show on. It just adds not only content for us but for everyone. I mean, it added excitement to a day in which people were like, "Oh, yet another boring day in the offseason." So, I want to hit on another thing that you mentioned, which is where this puts them in the American League East, because that's obviously the biggest factor in this. Is the Orioles have already been? I mean, the Yankees got Juan Soto, but they didn't get significantly better to the point that I would put them at the top of the AL East. I wouldn't even say they're a lock for the postseason at this point. So that AL East, you know me, I'm never sold on the Yankees. So the Orioles had to be feeling pretty good already, but adding Corbin Burns, they have to be feeling like this is our division to lose. And they should be easily 5 to 10 games over everyone else, if not more at this point. I mean, they are far and away the best team in that division. The Rays don't even come close, even though they somehow manage to always find themselves there. The Yankees' rotation is nowhere near where it needs to be. The Red Sox don't exist. And the Blue Jays haven't made any of the moves that they promised to make this entire offseason. It's been a real bust of an offseason for them. So here we are. But I mean, again, what's the other thing? Like I said, things can change drastically. I mean, there's still so many great players on the market with such little time left that this division still could flip around, and we could get, if one team gets Martinez, gets a couple bullpen arms, and gets Snell, you could see a team in that AL East really turn it around. And this might kick them into gear, realizing we have no shot at this division unless we get one of these guys remaining on the market.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like the first thing I thought of when this deal happened was that like they're the division favorites now. Like it's like cemented in stone. As of February 1st, like right now, like just because like if Bellinger ends up signing with the Yankees, that'd be huge. But I still do think like the Yankees are a pitcher away from the Orioles as of this moment. Like I think lineup for lineup, it's easily the Orioles as of right now, even with the addition of Juan Soto. Like the Yankees are still very just like top heavy to me. You have Judge, you have Soto, you have these guys. You don't know what you're gonna get from like guys like Volpe, like their Oswalds, like Stanton. You don't know how many games Stanton's gonna play next year. Dominguez is hurt until however long. Like, there's a lot of question marks surrounding them, and there's like not a lot of question marks surrounding the Orioles right now. So, I mean, they're the feel good story. They're kind of playing like America's team. Like, let's be real. Like, obviously, baseball might be better when the Yankees are better, but everyone loves to hate on the Yankees. And if anyone loves to hate on the Yankees, they love to cheer on a team that has a chance of getting in their way of the division, and that's the Orioles this year. So, they have emerging stars too, like guys like Grayson Rodriguez. I mean, Adley Rutschman's going to be the best catcher in baseball going into next year. Like, they have solid pieces now, and it's just all coming together for them. Like, and if you already, like, I already had them as like a outside chance of going to the World Series going into next year. Like, this might even solidify them going in throughout the entire AL. Like, who's to say like they're not even the best team to be in the conference right now? So huge.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, the Astros, yes, they added Josh Hader, but they're always there. But this just solidifies. I mean, you also have to remember that Orioles rotation is real young. They've got a lot of really young guys who are going to get
And
better.
Bradish was really good last year too.
And Grayson Rodriguez didn't even come into his own last season at all. So there's some guys that are going to perform. I mean, they're going to be great. I mean, at least you hope and assume they are going to be great. And adding Corbin Burns not only adds that ace at the top of the rotation, but think about another thing. It adds a veteran star who can teach these young pitchers how to really develop and be really great pitchers.
Yeah, and it reminds me a lot of when like Scherzer went to the Nationals. Like that team was pretty young. They had a young rising Steven Strasburg at the time. Like they're very similar vibes. I mean, I think the Orioles team is better than the Nationals team when they got Scherzer too, like lineup wise. So I don't know. It's spooky. Very good. Very good addition for that team, man. Like you love to see the new ownership make a huge move like that, kind of like set the tone. Like, hey, like we're not going to be no schmucks to the Yankees and Red Sox anymore. Like it's fun in Baltimore right now.
Yeah, and it was fun in Baltimore last year. I can't imagine how electrifying opening day is going to be.
Best places to play when it's like,
yeah,
it's just electric.
It really, really is, and I think that's going to be so good for baseball. Seeing teams like that have gone through that hard rebuild. I mean, Orioles were the worst team in baseball for years. Everybody knows it. They were just, I mean, even when we started this podcast 5 years ago, this team was awful. No one knew anything about them. They were the worst team in the league. And now here they are, just 5 years later. It took them a long time, but they're here. They're back, and they are here to run the table. I mean, last year they got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs that they really couldn't afford to be knocked out in, but they got right back up. They've got even better. I mean, this team should be primed for a really, really big season. So I want to flip the coin to the other side of this deal, which is the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, the Brewers now just lost their best pitcher, and Brandon Woodruff is out for the year. Where does this leave them?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like they're kind of like the Rays in a sense where like they don't make a ton of sense on paper. They always just kind of find a way to win, like whether it's just with their pitching or with their hitting. But like, yeah, losing Burns and losing your top two pitchers from a year ago going into next year just always isn't a good sign for like success. But that division is just so interesting. Like you don't know what the Cardinals are going to be next year after an underwhelming season. Was the hype over the Reds like a fluke, or will they be for real next year? The Pirates, they're super young and scrappy. Like, do they have something in them going into next year? And then I'm definitely missing
the Cubs.
The Cubs, man. Like that, they might be the biggest question mark out of them all. Like we don't know what's going on with Bellinger. They
lost Stroman.
They lost Stroman to the Yankees. So like, there's just so many conflicting factors going on in that division right now. Like maybe the Reds have the least amount of question marks about them right now. Like makes me the most confident about them going into next year. Like because the Brewers, like I don't know where they're going to get their pitching from. I don't know when they're going to get their bullpen from because they lost Hader too. Obviously, just now, like the lineup too, it's fringy. You don't know you're going to get from them on a day in day out basis. Like they're a team that always relied on their pitching. Like when it came down to it, like they were never scoring like 6 or 7 runs a game. Like they were always scoring like 4 runs a game, and they were winning games like 4-2, 4-1. So I don't know. It's a very interesting question that you pose. Like that division like is very, very like unpredictable going into next year for me.
And I think something you said is really, really important about this team. It's kind of like the Rays in that they just seem to make it happen. But what made it happen at the end of the day, the anchor to that was their pitching with Woodruff, Burns, Hader, and Devin Williams. I mean, they haven't had Hader for a couple of years because he was on the Padres, but still, they had some really, really big arms. That's what pushed them to where they needed to be. They've got one of them out for the year and one of them gone forever, and I mean, I also forgot to mention it earlier on that for Corbin Burns, this might be a a happy leave for him after, you might remember last year it's funny right now, it's arbitration time. Last year, this time, we were finding out that he had a really big spat with the Brewers in arbitration. We thought that might end up
Oh
leading to him
yeah.
getting
Yep.
traded.
Yep.
And he was really, really upset. He said, I'm really angry at this organization. They treated me that way. I don't want to be here anymore. He finally gets his wish and gets traded out of there. So, that I wonder maybe if that'll impact his performance in a way. But, for the Brewers, they've got nothing going. They have to be fourth or fifth in that division right now. This took them from maybe second to a solid fourth, maybe last in that division. I mean, it's that big of a miss. I mean, let's look at the wins. Corbin Burns, I mean, he only won, okay, never mind. That doesn't matter. He only won 10 games last year. But still, those are 10 games that you're now probably not going to win. And he even puts you in a good spot in those other ones. So you probably lost a good 10 wins from this, which could be the difference between second and last in this division.
Yeah, I mean, like if you were to tell me like the biggest like question mark going in next year, it would be that division, just because you have no idea what's going to happen. Like I want to say the Cardinals are going to be back next year because it seems like the easy answer after a down season. Maybe the Reds, just because they're fun, they're young, they're kind of helping save this next generation of baseball. Because the Brewers are on really just so boring. If you really think about it, like on paper, like they're so boring. Like every year when they get to the playoffs, like I don't want them to go far because they're so boring. I think you're muted.
Damn it! I clicked the button too. It's been all funky today. I've been using this all day, and it's had a couple times where I hit the button. It's not working right. I mean, they're just like you said. There's no incentive to want to watch them win. They have no superstars at all.
No
Christian
superstar.
Yelich is a wash, and
Yeah.
now that Burns is gone, I mean, the only fun player on the team is Devin Williams. So
Yeah.
where do you go? I mean, I like
Cal Frelick.
yeah, right, exactly. I like your thought of the Reds, but I don't know. Something about the Cubs, man. But
Cubs.
they
Yeah.
lost.
I'm down for the Cubs. Sure.
But if they don't get Bellinger back, it's the Reds to me.
I
And
think the Reds, like, I don't know, they don't have a lot of missing pieces from their team last year, and they were pretty
right,
dang good last year, and the rookie's only going to get better, in my opinion. Like, so
but they lost Votto. Votto not coming back. I mean, at least we assume Votto isn't coming back.
yeah,
That's a leader in the clubhouse.
they'll miss his presence, but they can make up the production in a heartbeat.
Or maybe he'll just join the coaching staff instead if he doesn't get, a
I'd like to
job
see him in
anywhere else.
Arizona. That'd be pretty fun in my opinion.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just that NL Central, it's like the AL Central last year. I mean, it's just
Maybe
I mean,
AL Central this year too, man.
yeah, it won't be as bad.
Funky.
Yeah. It's not going to be nearly as bad for the AL Central as the NL Central is this year, but most definitely.
I don't know if you can say that.
Yeah, but I mean, we at least acknowledge that well, you're right. Just, you know what? Take the Centrals out of baseball. We don't need it. Hey. I know your favorite teams in the Centrals. You could put them in AAA and still watch them. Because, I mean, right now, I mean, no one from the Centrals are going to win a World Series in years. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
I wouldn't say years.
I'd say at least 3 or 4 before a team from the Centrals win a division. I mean, the Royals and Tigers could get there within 3 or 4, but I mean, with the Dodgers being what they are right now and other teams still, Astros still existing, I don't know. I just
the East and West are very dominant.
Yeah. I mean, right now you got 2 super teams in both leagues in the Astros and the Dodgers and the Braves, and really nothing else. I mean, you got a lot of underwhelming teams going into 2024. I mean, the Mets have done nothing. The Yankees have done really nothing. So you got some of those big market teams that have really ended up being pretty quiet, that haven't done much. It's going to be probably an underdog year for a lot of teams this year. A team like the Diamondbacks or the Mariners, those guys can end up really shining and stealing the spotlight in 2024, and what should be a very weird year if you really think about where we are right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Mariners are very interesting too. I like the Jorge Polanco trade. It's very underrated. So
yeah, well, he had a horrible year last year, but still, he could be great.
Yeah, like in that lineup though too. Like, I don't know. The AL West is very, very interesting. We always want to write off the Astros, and it might be their time this year. But like again, they're returning the entire roster, and they're going to be basically the same team with Josh Hader now. So
Yeah.
have fun.
And I mean, you've got the defending World Series champion Rangers in that division. I mean,
My only concern is Seager had surgery, I think, for hernia. He should be good by spring training.
Yeah, he said he'll be ready by opening day. I think he's going to miss a good chunk of spring training. But they're also down Scherzer till the summer, and Jacob deGrom is a big question mark. He's earliest the summer, so there's question marks for that Rangers team. But all around baseball, I mean, it's just this made baseball. This kind of took a lopsided Major League Baseball with like a couple really great teams and almost just threw my microphone on the ground. A couple really great teams, and then you have the remaining teams are kind of just there. And this just kind of stacked the deck a little bit more in that favor. You take one of the best pitchers in baseball off the Brewers, it takes them out of any sort of contention from being good, and you make the Orioles even better. It's just the rich have been getting richer this entire offseason, and the poor or the average teams have not gotten any closer to that level. So I think it's something that I don't know how baseball is going to play this year. I feel like baseball is going to be weird in 2024. I feel like this offseason is foreshadowing for what might be a very strange season where we have teams that just kind of have huge leads and it's really not competitive at all until the playoffs. But who knows? I mean, that's the beauty of baseball. Anything can really happen. And that's why baseball is great. That's why we love it so much. And it's coming back. It's coming back very soon. So I'll let you get in your final thoughts before we wrap up the show here. I mean, very wild day, very wild trade.
No, yeah. I mean, good for the Orioles, good for the city of Baltimore. I mean, like I said earlier, Camden Yards is one of the best places, like the atmospheres to play in for like a playoff time and a big game. So I think this trade kind of just like cemented their next 3 or 4 years that they will be a top contender in the AL East. And as for the Brewers, I mean, they are a very good organization. They do a lot with little. So we'll just see how they do this year. It'll be a testament to their managing. Craig Counsell's still managing them, right? Like I don't even know who the manager is.
No, Craig Counsell's managing the Cubs now.
Oh, that's right. Like I don't even know who the
trust me, I have been so tuned out of this entire offseason. Everything from this offseason is a blur. I mean, I just said Josh Hader's on the Orioles. That just goes straight how bad of an offseason it's been, that we've lost all interest.
Oh my God, former ASU legend Pat Murphy, right? Yeah.
Really? Oh yeah. That's right. I remember that. I do remember that.
So Pat Murphy and company. I mean, yeah, new managing this year. They lost Craig Counsell too. Like they're gonna be bad. I'm just gonna say they're gonna be bad next year. Like they're gonna need a year to figure everything out. Like just to take a step back. Like develop those prospects. Like, but for Baltimore though, be that team that takes that AL East away from the Yankees. It'd be hilarious. The team that gets Soto. I mean, I hope Soto breaks the records next year in home runs and everything like that. But I don't want to see the Yankees succeeding. Can't have any of that.
True. Very true. You know what? I actually kind of hope he doesn't do that so that the Mets can sign him for cheaper next offseason.
I just want to see him just like have an unbelievable year, but the Yankees still have a downfall.
Of course. As long as the Yankees don't win, it's a good day.
Everything's peachy.
Yeah, I mean, everything's right in the world when the Yankees are losing, as they probably will, because their team really didn't get much better at all. So that's going to do it for this breaking news show as we discuss the wild trade. Corbin Burnes traded to the Orioles. This is some big news late in the offseason that we should hopefully have some more big news late in the offseason. But the way things are going right now, there are definitely going to be some players that are not signed when spring training starts. Who's it going to be? Will anyone left on the board that are some of those top free agents get signed before spring training starts? Who knows? That will have to wait to be seen. We will be here to cover all of it. Make sure that you are subscribing, hitting that bell, because anytime some big news happens, we're going to do our best to cover it as soon as possible. We were a little late today, but that's okay. We ended up getting it in there, and that's all that matters. A wild deal. The Brewers trading Corbin Burnes to the Baltimore Orioles in exchange for DL Hall and Joey Ortiz, as well as a Comp A draft pick. It's big news. Great to see at the end of the offseason. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.